Welcome everyone. This is Kevin Davey. Hope you're having a great Tuesday like I am. And thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about getting set up to create some profitable trading strategies in 2020. So with that, let's get started. Sorry about that. I just have to get adjusted here. All right. So, like I said, this isn't going to be a real long webinar like some of my other ones, but we're just going to talk about three things pretty quickly, hit them quick. They're not real complicated, but they really will help you. And it's three different things that, hey, if things aren't going right in 2019, it's a good way to start. If you're watching live, stick around. When the webinar ends, afterwards I'll be doing a Q&A, so you can ask any questions you want. We'll take 10-15 minutes to do that if you need to. And then I'll be giving away a book giveaway, and it's going to be copies of my audio versions of my book, I should say. My last two books, Intro to Algo Trading and Exit and Entry Confessions. So you can get the audio book, and if you say, hey, I don't want the audio book, I'll send you a PDF version too. And then there's also a special surprise for sticking around to the end. So that's if you're listening live, which hopefully you are. And if you're watching on YouTube, well, you don't get to benefit from all those extra things. So I apologize for that. And for those of you watching on YouTube, if you want to participate in some of the free book giveaways and the other specials that I do, then go to my website and just sign up for my email list, and then you'll be notified, and then you can attend these things live. I tend to get a lot of really great questions at these live sessions, so that alone is worth signing up for. All right. So, I mentioned YouTube. Don't forget to visit it if you're watching live or if you're watching on YouTube. When I get to 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to give a free algo system out to everybody in a video. So, watch some videos, subscribe, and then you always get my latest information. Okay, so before we launch into it, first, U.S. government disclaimer, since we're talking about futures and trading, there's a lot of potential risks. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. Treat all results as hypothetical, and past performance is not indicative of future results. So if you keep those things in mind, you should be pretty well off. Okay, so the first question you got to ask as you start to think about 2020, we're in October of 2019, is your trading going good in 2019? Or are you like this guy who bought at the beginning of the year and who's just been riding a downtrend? The people who sold short are doing good, but if you bought and if you did things like this, maybe things aren't going so well, and maybe you need to make some changes. And the neat thing is, you can start today with making changes for your trading for next year. And that's what this webinar is all about. So I'm going to give you 3 steps to improve your trading in 2020. And they're not earth-shattering, oh my gosh, no one's ever talked about this kind of steps, but they're just solid pieces of advice, things you can use to kind of help you along. Because what you don't want to fall into is what I show in that chart on the right, where you did do this nice back test, and then when you go live in the light blue section, it just kind of falls apart and doesn't do much of anything. That's what you want to avoid, right? You don't want that. None of us want that, but unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of times. So this is your chance now to start preparing for next year and start getting good strategies for next year. So let's just launch into this right off the bat. So step one, you got to make the commitment. So what do I mean by that? Well, in case you haven't figured it out, trading is pretty hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? I remember years ago hearing about women housewives in Japan who were trading Forex and how some of them were doing real good. And of course, it was kind of a made up story by some journalist. It really wasn't true. Most of the women who were trading were losing. But the fact is, if everybody was doing it, there'd be no money in it. So trading is hard, right? It's not for everyone. So one of the things as you look at your past trading is, hey, is this even for me? Maybe you thought it was, and maybe it's not. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with saying, this just isn't for me. Because trading's hard. You got to make a commitment to it. And you really need 3 things to succeed if you're going to make this commitment. Can anyone guess? Just type in, if you have an answer, things you think you need to succeed, and I'll read out some of them. Okay, somebody said, Derek said a testing process. On said discipline. Yeah, that's a good one too. David said a plan. Jem says discipline. Neil, willing to take a risk and willing to risk. Yeah, those are all time and money and edge. Starting capital. Oh, you got these are good. You guys got a lot of good things here. Well, I kind of looked at it, and here are the 3 things that I kind of came up with. The first one, a couple of you said it, is time, right? If you want to be an algo trader, if you want to be any kind of trader, really, you're not going to be able to do it in 15 minutes a day, okay? If you're going to be an active trader. If you want to do something that takes 15 minutes a day, just go out, buy the benchmark SPY ETF, and just let it be. That won't even take you 15 minutes a day, right? You need to spend a lot of time. I'm not saying 80 hours a week, although there are people who do spend that much time working on their trading. But if you can at least dedicate about, I'd say 10 hours per week, you're going to be in really tough shape, okay? And you might say, well, why? I see all these things on the internet about people, you don't need much time and not much effort to succeed. A lot of those people are just pulling your leg, there's a reason they're telling you that. And it's usually because they want to separate you from your money. Think about the trading world and who you're up against. You are up against professionals who do this day in, day out, and their job is to make money. And if you're also trying to make money, maybe if you're lucky enough to piggyback along with them, you can do it. But a lot of times what happens is those professionals are taking money from you, right? From the undereducated trader, from the inexperienced trader. That's what's happening. So you've got to spend the time, and you've got to commit the time to do this. And if you don't have the time or you don't want to commit it, that's fine, but don't expect to get success in trading without that time commitment. The second thing you need is money, okay? And there's 2 parts of that. One is if you start out with a real small account, and I'll show you an example in a second, you're probably going to get wiped out. The risk of ruin is really high. And brokers know that, and everyone else knows that, yet they still encourage people to open an account with a $500 minimum or something, because they know most people are going to blow it out and then come back and try again and again. You know, think of the house in Las Vegas, right? The house is going to win in the long run, right? Pretty much guaranteed. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But what if the house only had a cashier's cage with $5,000 in it and they had no more money? What would happen? Well, big gambler would come in, he'd win, he wouldn't get paid, they would shut down the casino, right? So even with a winning edge, the house could still lose if they weren't bankrolled enough, right? If they couldn't pay their debts. So this is a big one. Traders get wiped out if they don't have enough in their account. And the second part is, hey, if you want to learn how to do something, that costs money, right? And you'll pay it in trading one way or another. You'll either pay somebody to help you, educate you, or you'll learn on your own and pay the market to educate you. That's the approach I took. And if you've read any of my books, you've read some of the horror stories I've had. Don't do that. Don't let the market charge you tuition. But you know, good education costs money, and that's just part of it. And one thing I do is every year, even though I've been trading for a long time, I still allocate some money to buying books or to buying some online thing that I see or attending a workshop or something. I will do that, and that's just part of my education budget because I'm always looking to find new things and improve. You should be too. So you need money two different ways there. So here's the example. This is from the Monte Carlo simulator. It's an Excel spreadsheet. If you don't have it and if you want it, just go to my website and look under the free section or the resources section, and you'll find it there. You also find it in the calculators page. You can download it. So here's a real simple system, and let me get if I can get the drawing tool here. So there's only two possible trades here. You either win $150 or you lose $100, and it's 50% of each, right? So over time, you would win $25 per trade, right? On average, okay? So let's just say that's your trading system, and it takes 52 trades a year, and you're going to start out with $1,000, but if your equity ever drops below 1,000, you're wiped out, okay? What are your chances then of getting wiped out? Well, they're really high, 75% chance. And as you add equity, your chances go down, okay? Your chances of getting ruined. You can see as soon as you're up around $2,000 or $3,000 with this particular trading quote unquote system, you're not going to get wiped out. But if you don't have enough capital, you will get wiped out, almost guaranteed. And that is a big key, is making sure you have a big enough account to trade whatever it is you're trading, whether it's stocks, forex, futures, whether you're trading with a lot of leverage, no leverage, whatever you're doing, you don't want to get wiped out, because in the short run, even with this system, could you have 4 or 5 losers in a row? Oh, absolutely. And if you didn't have the capital to withstand that, you're going to be wiped out. And then all of a sudden you can't play this game, which this is a long-term winning game, right? It's going to make $25. Sorry about that. $25 per trade from now and to whenever, but only if you're along for the ride. So this is huge. Okay, so the third thing with commitment, you need patience. You know, it's amazing. Maybe it's me getting old, but everybody wants everything today. It's funny. My kids we buy something on Amazon, and I have Amazon Prime, and my youngest is continuously watching the UPS driver as he maneuvers through to bring us the package, and they wonder, why doesn't it come today? Well, we just ordered it today. Well, yeah, but you know, kids have no idea. You know, when I was young and bought something through mail order, it took 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. Now it's like, if it's less than a day, that's what people expect. Same thing with trading. There's so many people out there who email me and say, yeah, you know, I need to double my money in the next month or so. You know, I'm just like, oh man, I feel so bad for them, because I know I'll tell them, no, you can't do that unless you're willing to lose it all. And then I know they'll find somebody out there who's going to say, oh yeah, you can do that. I do it all the time. And unfortunately, it's just a big fraud. So you got to be patient. You can't expect to double your money every week or month or even every year. I mean, I've done it a few times where I've doubled my account every year, but it's tough. And if you're building algo strategies, if you're building ways to trade, you know, don't think you're going to all of a sudden build 10 of these in 1 month, because you're not. Okay. It takes time. It takes patience. You got to kind of think about the long run of, okay, well, in a year, I'll have a handful of strategies. In a year, hopefully my account will be worth X percentage more, but it's not going to happen overnight. And that's where people really get messed up. So if you're looking to commit to trading and commit to improving in 2020, set goals for how much time you're going to commit to it. Watch out for those small accounts, so commit the money and commit yourself to patience. Don't try to trade so that you double your account every week. So time, patience, and money with the commitment part. Okay, so let's move on. So step 2, what's important here? Well, it's getting ideas for your strategy, right? How are you going to trade in 2020 if you don't have any strategies, right? But to get strategies, you first need ideas. And the way I look at it is, pretend you're building a car, okay, and you have a factory, and you set up a factory car. What do you need first, right? Obviously, you need to design, and you know, you need some people to build cars, but you need raw materials. If you don't have metal coming in the door every day, what are you going to build your car out of? If you don't have plastic pieces and leather seats, and you need all those raw materials. And it's the same way with building strategies. And when it comes down to it, ideas are really a key part of it. So I've listed a few sources there. Probably most of you have that book on the right that I give away at my website. And if you don't, go there, just get it, download it. It's got some entry ideas, exit ideas, a lot of stuff you can just play around with. In the middle, technical analysis of stocks and commodities. That's a great magazine for getting trading ideas. And then if you want even more ideas, my paid book is over on the right. And that's one of the ones I'll be giving away an audio version of it later if you're listening live. The point is, you got to get a lot of ideas. You know, as it turns out, most ideas don't work. Simple as that. You know, you'll see people expounding on every possible kind of price action thing or moving average or breakout, but when they're put to the test, most of those things don't work. You know, it's amazing how many people tell you what to do. You know, trade like this, and you know, use RSI with stochastics and ADX, and they showed no proof. You know, you have no idea if it works or not. Did it work, or did they just tell you it works? Usually it's the latter, because most ideas don't work, especially when you add in slippage and commission. And if you've listened to me before, you've heard me talk about slippage and commission and how those evils, which you can't get away from, by the way, but how they're evil and how they'll destroy you and destroy most of your ideas. So you need a lot of ideas, okay? And now's the time to start thinking about ideas so you can start testing right in 2020. You start fresh. Hey, 2020, I'm going to start testing one idea a week or whatever it is. But that again goes back to the time commitment. You got to have time to do it. So here's a plan you can use with ideas. Right now, the next month, write down 20 unique strategy ideas to test. Now, they don't have to be ideas that you came up with. Take them out of my books. Take them off the internet. Find them anywhere. That's where I find a lot of my ideas originally. It's funny, there was one of my systems that I created 8 or 9 years ago. There was some other guy who created a YouTube video where he claimed he created the idea. And I was like, what? And he used almost exactly my code. So I knew he wasn't the one who created it. But the point is, when it comes down to strategy ideas, if they're out there, use them, modify them, make them your own. You know, if you don't like something with it, change it. That's where a lot of my ideas originally have come from, is taking somebody else's idea and just modifying it. So take the next month, create a stockpile. It's your stockpile of raw materials, 20 of them. That's probably a good place to start. And then commit to adding more ideas every week. And if you just get in that kind of mindset of, hey, I got to create new ideas, that's what will happen. You'll start creating ideas every week and things will just pop in your head. Oh, I should try this. I should try this. That's what you got to do. So that's a second great way to jumpstart your 2020 trading, is start gathering ideas now and get ready to test. Then you move on to step 3. And some of you have mentioned it in your comments. You want to have a process to develop your strategies, okay? And if you have one already, thumbs up, then you just got to start working it. But if you don't, well, then you got to look at it. And it can be anything, right? You could find your deceased uncle's trading journal in a suitcase in the attic, and oh, he reveals all the secrets of trading. Hey, if it works, that's good. You could go see a fortune teller. So maybe they know the secret to creating trading strategies. I don't know. Astrology, moon phases. There's tons of different ways to look at it. Tons of different ways you can develop strategies. The key is, as long as it works, okay? There is no one and only way. There are right ways and wrong ways to develop strategies, but there isn't any absolute only way, So I'll ask you a question, just type in the answer. How do you know if the process you're using to build your strategy works? How would you know? People are afraid to answer. Well, how most people answer it, and there you go. There's some, I see testing, but one of the things I see over and over again is back testing. And that is sort of the right answer, but it's also, this was a trick question. That's also the absolute wrong answer. Okay? The only thing that matters, and I see a bunch of you have it, real-time performance. That's how you know the process you're using to build your strategy works or not. back test, anybody can create a back test. I could teach my kids who are in middle school to create a great looking back test, and they could probably do it in 5 or 10 minutes. So it's not back testing. It's if it works real time. That's why I said maybe you find your uncle had left a suitcase with his trading notes in the attic. If you put it to the test, if you write down the rules or whatever and start following it and it works in real time, then it's good, right? And that's where a lot of people get hung up. They think the back test alone is what proves the strategy, and that's just the beginning. You know, because I'm sure you've experienced this, where you get this great looking back test and it kind of falls apart in real time, right? It's overfit, it's got too many parameters, or it was just using hindsight bias. There could be a million different reasons why. We've all experienced that, and that's what you have to avoid. And at the same time, you know, getting those results, it's hard. It is hard. So don't feel bad if you haven't been able to do it, because it is difficult. Okay. And what I use is a process I developed, and I call it the strategy factory now because it sounds kind of cool, and it kind of incorporates the concepts of trading testing lots of things and also trading lots of things. But I didn't always have that, and before I had it, I was kind of stumbling around with my process and not doing anything really right. So that works. It's worked for me. It's worked for others. Is it the only way? Nope. But it is a way that works, and that's the key. You need to have a way for you to develop strategies. And if you don't, we're talking about getting ready for next year's trading. If you don't have that process, you're pretty much just kind of guessing and hoping for random luck, right? And that's what you don't want to do. So, I've been teaching this method for over 5 years now. I've been using it for longer than that. And students who've worked with me have produced over 300 strategies that worked in real time. So what we do is I monitor those certain strategies for 6 months in real time, and I have access to the code and I'm running it. So I'm relying on Tradestation to give me the results, and it's some strategies are failing, of course, they always do, but we've created quite a few, over 300. So that says something. It says that process does work and can develop good strategies. So talking about actions you can take, you got to find your process, whatever it is, as long as it works in real time. So you could develop it yourself, you could find somebody who teaches it, or, it's always an option to decide this is not important at all. Who cares how you develop strategies? Hey, you don't need a process. I'll just read whatever book or magazine or internet posting I see, and whatever they say to do, I'll do. Whatever they say their buy signal is, I'll use that. You could do it. Good luck if you do. But that's kind of how I would look at it. So your plan should be for the rest of this year, get that process going if you don't have it already. If you have it already, take a look at it and make sure it's working right. And where it's not, maybe you need to tighten up and add some things and change some things around, but hit the ground running in 2020. Start developing strategies with a process that works in real time. Okay? So to kind of sum it all up, like I said, today was kind of going to be a short class, and I'm about half hour, so we'll take some questions in a minute. First, you got to commit the time, money, and patience to improving your trading. I mean, if you don't commit to it, it's not going to happen. Like anything else in life, you got to commit to it first. Now, let's say you're committed, start getting ideas to test because you're, hey, if you want to build half a dozen strategies in the next year, you're going to have 10 to 50 times as many ideas to test. So you got to start coming up with the ideas, and then make sure the way you're testing, that your whole development process is something that works and works in real time. And if it doesn't, those other 2 points probably don't matter, because if you test ideas incorrectly, you're in trouble, and you're going to waste a lot of your time and probably lose money doing it, and you're going to run out of patience. So that's my recommendation. Do these things, and I think you'll be off to a great start in 2020. All right, so like I said, my solution's a strategy factory. You see ideas over there on the left coming in, and a trading system coming out on the right. What you don't see is over here, there's usually a bunch of scrap material. I'm trying to draw scrap material. I don't know what scrap material looks like. Those are just bad strategies. That's what you're going to deal with most of the time. But once in a while, you get a good trading system to come out the door. That's how it works. It's a class I teach. It's a workshop. Has a lot of extra videos with it, and I support it. I'm just doing this by myself. So every email you send comes to me. I answer it. And then if you don't know Easy Language, I've included an optional Easy Language programming add-on, which has been pretty popular to get people up to speed. You don't have to be an Easy Language expert to use it. And Easy Language is with Tradestation, by the way. You don't have to be an expert, but I teach you some targeted knowledge to get you building some strategies. So that's my solution. If you're interested, a lot of students have already created strategies, but go to my website, go to Strategy Workshop. Up at the top, click on it. You'll find more information about it. You can learn about the rebate program I have with Tradestation, where you can actually get the whole course fee repaid via commission rebates, which is really cool. So that's if you're looking for more information on the workshop, which is a proven strategy development process. All right, so with that, I just want to thank you for watching, and good luck trading in 2020.